Welcome, folks. Another week, another episode of Inside IU Softball. I'm Jimmy Cavanaugh. Head coach Michelle Gardner will join us in a moment. But first, we've got a special treat. Indiana pitcher Meaghan Murphy. Over the weekend, Meaghan threw the 24th no-hitter in school history, the 10th pitcher to do so. Meaghan, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for taking the time. I want to know, in that last inning, just as you're putting it together, you know what's at stake. What's going through your head as you're trying to execute these pitches and get this thing?
Not a whole lot was going through my head. Just, if anything particular, it was get a ground ball, get a pop fly, just get an easy out. I kind of had it in the back of my mind throughout the game, like, nobody's gotten a hit yet. My defense was playing really well behind me, and if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have had the no-hitter. But in the 7th inning, maybe a little bit of nerves came into place, but just was focusing on getting a ground ball or a pop-up.
Was there a time that you became aware, like maybe you weren't thinking about it and there's a point where you realize what you have going and really puts it in perspective for you?
Yeah, in about I want to say like the 3rd inning, I had a couple of the girls like giving me the eye in the dugout, and I knew, I was like, I hope they don't say anything, and then Dotson actually called a timeout in the last inning, and I was like, gosh, please don't say anything. I know I have a no-hitter. But I was pretty aware of it throughout the entire game.
Is there any difference you feel after throwing it, that you're part of an exclusive club here in Indiana who has accomplished this? Is there anything different there?
I feel honored to be a part of that club and variety of people who have thrown them, but if anything, it's a good confidence boost, and it's exciting. It's a pretty big feat for me, so.
And finally, obviously, you had, aside from just the no-hitter, you had a pretty good weekend elsewhere. The really solid game against Marshall. You come out against Georgia Tech and get a career-high 10 strikeouts. What was going for you this weekend? What did you do to come in ready to pitch for all 3 days of that Georgia Tech Classic?
I think the biggest thing for me this weekend was preparation before the game. Getting focused in on what I'm trying to do, hit the corners, hit my spots, and if I'm missing a pitch, make sure it's off the plate to keep them off their toes, as well as changing up speeds. I knew that last weekend, actually when we were in Tempe in the Cal game, like that was my main focus as well. Like, my preparation needs to be different. I need to come into this game knowing that we're good enough to beat this team, so that's what we need to do, and I think that was a big factor this weekend as well.
Meaghan will take the circle again next weekend. IU heads to Clearwater, Florida. We'll be right back. Head coach Michelle Gardner joins us up next. This is Inside IU Softball. Don't go anywhere. We're back, folks, and this time joined by head coach Michelle Gardner, a regular every week on Inside IU Softball, understandably. Coach, last time this week, we were talking about going down to Atlanta, participating in the Georgia Tech Classic. You come back and are sitting in this chair after a 5-0 weekend down there. You really couldn't have expected any more, statistically, from a record perspective. You didn't lose a game.
Well, we played very well. I thought collectively, as a team, we played very well. We had very good pitching all weekend, which I think is a big part of it because it kind of sets the tone for the game. We executed. We put some bunts down, played a little small ball when we had to. Just really, we had good defense. We made plays we needed to make, and everything just kind of came together.
Yeah, just to that point, the margin for IU this weekend was 28-5. So the offense was there, the pitching was there. I don't even know if you want to single out one side, just both of those facets of the game working together for you.
Well, certainly Meaghan Murphy throwing a no-hitter to open up the tournament's huge.
I'll do it.
Well, and she opened up with a no-hitter, but we scored 10 runs in the opening game too. So it kind of set the tone for the weekend. And then we had a great performance by Laura Olson in the second game, and we just, both of them really controlled the plate, and I think that's something that we've been working on and striding towards are those two things happening. But then, we had production from a lot of parts of our lineup. We had a lot of hits. We had runners on, we moved them over, we drove them in. So it was kind of, Cassie Farmer had a great weekend, Amanda Wagner had a great weekend, and it was kind of the collective whole weekend. It wasn't just a game here or a game there. And then other people, Jenna Mulmain hit a monster home run against Marshall, And to be honest, that she threw 2 really good games against us. That kid's pretty legitimate as far as pitchers that we've seen. But we found a way to score the runs that we needed. We got down early and came back and scored and then tied it up, and then went ahead and were able to hold on and do some good things. So I really felt like around the whole field we had some great performances.
And no question there. Obviously, the pitching performance from Marshall was great in both those contests. You get a pair of 2-1 wins, won in extra innings, and then you won a couple big ones. You beat Georgia Tech big on the last day. Obviously, you talked about Miami of Ohio. What is more encouraging to see, the big blowout wins or being able to eke out those close victories?
Honestly, as a coach, everybody likes the big wins because it's a little relaxing when you have a lot of runs. But the thing was, we never let down, and to actually eke out the close games to me shows a lot of character because they never gave up, and we're not giving up. We're continuing to battle even when we're on the downside, which is something that it's hard when, and I'll use our weekend in Arizona as an example. It's hard when you're giving up a lot of runs to keep pushing and try to stay in games. But we controlled that part of the game so well that I think everybody was a little more relaxed. There wasn't a lot of pressure on the pitchers because we were scoring some runs. There wasn't a lot of pressure on the defense, because we were just making routine plays. And I've said this all along. You make routine plays, and the big plays take care of themselves. Kelsey Dotson picking someone off at second base. I mean, that was a huge play. And it's a momentum changer. And those are the things that we just have to continue to get better at, is taking care of the small stuff and letting the big things take care of themselves.
Yeah, and to that point, obviously, a 5-0 record, tough to be upset about, and obviously it's something that you're going to be okay with. But
Right.
Coaches love talking about keeping that edge, keeping moving forward. What do you want to see your team hone and continue to work on as we head to Clearwater this weekend?
Well, obviously, again, it starts in the circle, and the pitchers need to continue to get better every week. And we gave up 5 runs last weekend. We need to continue to get better every week. So it's kind of nitpicking a little bit, but it's the truth. And then, getting good starts, executing at the plate, because no matter what, we have to be able to score runs. So we are doing a lot with that part of the game. And by no means do I feel like we're right where we're at our top of our game, but we're working towards that. And that's what I want to see, is that each weekend we do something a little bit better, and know that along the way we're going to hit some bumps, but it's how do you deal with adversity and controlling the controllables. Because I think that's the one part of any team that if you're not controlling the things you can control, that's when they kind of blow up on you. So I thought we did a very good job of that this past weekend, and now moving forward, those are the things that I want to continue to see improvement on week after week.
Coach, thanks for taking the time to be with us. We're going to be Clearwater, Florida next week. Hoosiers 7-3 going into that tournament. The NFCA Leadoff Classic down there, as I'm told. And another 5-game in 3-day stretch. It should be a heck of a time. You can catch all those games right here on IUHoosiers.com. For Michelle Gardner, I'm Jimmy Cavanaugh saying good night. Travel well, folks. Thanks for watching.